So one of the questions I get asked a lot, should I be trading with a prop firm account or should I be trading with a live account? Now in today's video, I'll be covering the pros and the cons of trading on each of these accounts and which one you should start trading on today. Without further ado, let's start the video. Alright, so the first question you might ask yourself, what is a funded account and what is a live account? Now, a funded account is typically provided by a prop trading firm where they give you a capital to trade with. You usually must pass an evaluation process or meet certain performance criteria to qualify. So essentially, prop trading firms give you a trading account that you pass an evaluation phase before receiving a live account where you can trade for these prop firms, and profits are usually split 85 to 90%. So that's what a funded account is. Now, what is a live account? Now, a live account is one where you trade using your own funds, either through a retail broker or directly with a financial institution. So this is essentially you opening a trading account with a brokerage firm. So you could use Owanda, you could use Webull, you could use Forex.com, Deriv, other brokers, and you can open a live brokerage account where you use your own money to fund this. Now we're going to discuss the pros and cons of each of these accounts. So first, let's go to our funded account. So the first advantage that we're going to look on is no personal capital at risk. So what does this mean? You trade with the firm's capital, so your own capital is not at risk. So essentially what you do is pay a small fee for a funded account, for example a $5,000 account, a $10,000 account, a $100,000 account, and you're risking their money rather than yours. The only money you have at risk is your fee that you have paid for this evaluation. Now the second advantage of having a funded account is the leverage that they provide. So funded accounts normally provide higher leverage than brokerage accounts. So essentially what this is having more purchase power so that you can buy more units of a currency, and as such you can risk more, which is increased lot size, more money in the market. So that is an advantage of having a funded account, the leverage that it provides. So the third advantage of having a funded account is learning and experience. So what this offers is trading risk-free, so you don't really have to worry about losing a lot of money in the market. The only money is at risk is the fee that you have paid for the funded account. So it just provides you with a risk-free way of learning in the market without losing your life savings, without losing everything that you own. It's a risk-free approach, trying and learning in the market. Now, a next advantage, which is the fourth advantage of having a funded account, is access to larger capital. So essentially, if you have $100 to put into a live account, you could use a $100 to buy a 50,000 evaluation account. You could pass this and you could have access to a larger capital, which means that you have higher lot size to trade it, and as such you can make more money in the market. So that is an advantage of using a funded account. It gives you access to larger capital. Alright, so instead of making 10% on $100, you get to make 10% on $50,000. So you have access to larger capital, access to more leverage, increased lot size, and as such higher profit reward. Now we're going to touch on some disadvantages of a funded account, as we've been saying all these good things about funded accounts, but let's touch on the disadvantages of having a funded account. First one that comes to mind, which a lot of people don't like, is profit sharing. So with funded accounts, you don't necessarily get 100% of your profits. Instead, you get a shared proportion. Some prop firm will have a payout of 95%, 85%, 80%, etc. So what this means that if you make $2,000 and a $5,000 account, you will only receive 80 to 95% of that profit, and the rest goes to the prop firm. So essentially, you're not getting all of your profits. This is a disadvantages of having a funded account, whereas with your live account, you would not have to share your profits. All the profits would be yours. Now, a second disadvantage of having funded accounts is rules and restrictions. So with a funded account, there are certain profit requirements, there are certain loss requirements. So with funded accounts, most of them require you to make a profit of 10% in order to pass the evaluation phase, with a drawdown of around 4%. That's the daily drawdown. And then they have an overall drawdown of 8%. So these are some of the basic rules across prop firm accounts. So you must meet a certain profit requirement before you proceed to having a live account, and you have a certain drawdown, whereas live account, you don't have any requirements or any rules and restrictions. Even some prop firm accounts have leverage rules and restrictions and lot sizes rules and restrictions, as essentially some traders trade with higher lot size once passing the evaluation to maximize profits. So some prop firms reduce this, so you're not able to risk more than 70% of the account, etc., etc. So that is a disadvantage of a funded account versus a live account as well, where on a live account you don't have any requirements, any rules and restrictions. When it comes to funded accounts, there's rules and restrictions as it relates to the amount of money that you can lose, the amount of money that you're able to make per evaluation. And with that being said, that leads us to our next disadvantage, which is pressure perform. Because since you know that you have certain requirements to meet certain targets before proceeding to the live account, sometimes what traders do is that they raise their evaluation accounts trying to pass those 10% profit targets, and what really happen is that they end up blowing their account because they over leverage trying to pass the funded account very quickly so that they can reach the live stage where they can actually make some money. All right, so that is a disadvantage. And next disadvantage is the evaluation process. So whereas a live account, once you have your money into your brokerage account, you can start trading right away, and any profits that you make, you can easily just withdraw right away. With funded account, it requires you to pass an evaluation phase first, so you have to meet those profit targets first before proceeding to having a live account. So that's a disadvantage of having a prop firm account. Now I've covered the advantages of a funded account, I've covered the disadvantages. Now we're going over to look on the live account advantages and disadvantages. First advantage of having a live account is full control. So you control the capital, the risk, the reward. You're able to risk what you want to risk, you're able to lose what you're willing to lose, etc. You have total control over your account. There is no restriction, there is no rules. A second advantage is that you keep all your profits. All right, so whereas a funded account, profits are shared, with a live account you keep all your profit. If you make $200 on your $100, it's all yours. There is no profit split. All that profit goes into your account. A third advantage is no evaluation or restrictions. So whereas you have to meet that 10% target before entering into a live account with a funded, with live account there is no evaluation phases. As you, any amount that you input in your account, that's the amount you get to start trading with. And next advantage of having a live account is that it provides personal learning experience. So that means you're risking your own money, so now you're deeper connected, you have deeper emotions tied to this because it is your money that you're losing in real time. So it's going to have a deeper emotional connection. It might affect your trading in a good way, and this can also be in a bad way. So it offers personal learning experience. All right, so now that I've touched on the advantages of a live account, I'm going to touch on the disadvantages of trading on a live account. The first disadvantage I'm going to look on is risk to your capital. So because you're risking your own money with this, you have risk to your own capital in this case. So that is a disadvantage of having a live account, where versus a funded account, you're risking the prop firm's money to make money. A second disadvantage of using a live account is that you have limited capital. So whereas a funded account, you have different size accounts that you can purchase, $10,000 account, 100,000, 300,000 account. With live account, it is your own capital that you're using. You might have limit access to capital to get even $100,000 to put into a live account, where you can just purchase an evaluation phase and have access to $100,000 capital. So this is a disadvantage of having a live account, because it provides limit access to capital, and as such is one of the barriers to trading as well, because a lot of people don't have enough money to trade. As such, they shy away from it. So our next disadvantage is pressure of personal risk. All right, so since you're risking your own money, you might be under pressure when trading in the financial market. It will affect your decision making, because every decision that you make, you're losing your own capital in real time, and it also gives you the opportunity to make your own funds in real time. So this affects your decision process making, because you probably worry about losing your own capital, that you're at risk to FOMO, you're at risk to other factors. So this is a disadvantage of trading on a live account: pressure of personal risk. And next disadvantage I want to touch on as it relates to live account is slower growth. So because you're using your own money, it will take a continuous time increase that potential. So if you started with a $100, it's going to take a while for you to turn that $100 into $1,000,000. Whereas if you were trading on a funded account, you have potential of risking higher leverage, bigger size account. As such, you can risk more and reach your goals more quickly. So trading on a live account is a bit slower. All right, so now that we have discussed the advantages and the disadvantages of a funded account versus a live account, now we come to the big question that you've all been waiting on: which one should I choose? Should I choose the live? Should I choose the fund? Now here are some key factors to consider. One, experience level. If you're just starting out in trading, that means you don't have much capital to be trading on a live account. Probably you just have $100, $200, etc. I would suggest you go the funded account route, as you can purchase evaluation accounts for as cheap as $50, and you can maximize the growth on that funded account, whereas it would take a longer process to grow $100 into $1,000 on a live account. Now the next key factor I'd consider is risk tolerance. If you're willing to risk your own money, or if you're someone that has no problem with risking your own money and you have a higher risk tolerance, then I would say go for a live account, as you get to risk your own live money in the market. But if you have a lower risk appetite, I would say go the funded account, as the only thing you're risking with a funded account is the fee that you have paid for the account. Alright, so this also, risk tolerance also plays a key factor in this. So if you're someone with a higher risk tolerance, I would say go live account, versus if you're someone with a lower risk tolerance, I would say go the funded account route. Trading goals. So this is a next key factor to consider. So if you're someone that is looking to test different strategies in the market, if you're learning, experimenting, etc., I would think a funded account would be better to test these skills. You're risking lower and you're testing theories that might potentially be big. So I think you should use a funded account in that scenario to get the best possible out of this. If your trading goal is experimenting, finding new strategies, testing new theories, then I would suggest you use a funded account. Whereas if you're more established and you're just looking to maximize your gains and you have the capital, then I would say go a live account route. Alright, now the next key factor to consider is capital. So if you have a small amount of money, then I would say go the funded account route. If you have large sums of money, then I would say go the live account route. So all in all, it all comes down to where you are in your trading journey. If you're a complete beginner, if you have high risk tolerance versus low risk tolerance, if you have different trading goals, if you have a large sum of capital versus a small amount of capital. So So what I suggest is that you ask yourself these questions. Based on these questions, then you can decide if a funded route is more suited for you versus a live account route. For me personally, I am now trading funded accounts. I started out trading live account because I didn't have that much capital to be trading and making those large sums of money. I decided, why not go to the funded account route? Why not get higher accounts that I can maximize the gains on, and then after having that large sum of money, then I can transfer into a live account. Whereas I'm trying to put my money in a live account and then not being able to maximize those profits, not being able to have a higher lot size, higher leverage, higher purchasing power, etc. So these days, the only thing I trade now is funded accounts because it allows me to risk more on a funded account versus scaling a live account to high sums of money. Alright, so this brings us to the end of our video, guys. Just ask yourself these questions, and based on these questions, then you can decide, is a funded approach more suited for me, or is a live account route suited for me? Alright, until next time, I'll see you in the next video.